Well, we're all familiar with public consultation when it comes to local authorities or National Health Service, central government and so forth, but football clubs? Now, Nick, you gave me this idea, and it all stems from, apparently, your hometown of Bristol.
Yeah, indeed. And as a keen Bristolian, I'm very proud of the city. I'm also a big fan of our sports, or the Bristol Sports clubs, albeit they are perennial underachievers. But Steve Lansdowne, who's been involved with Bristol Sports for quite a long time, decided he wanted to turn that around. And he's built, through his wealth effectively, ownership of a lot of the different sports clubs in the city. The obvious ones are the football and the rugby, but bringing in basketball and various other sports together to try and create excellence in Bristol sports, to improve the profile of the city and see the benefit that that brings. Successful sports clubs are very good for a local economy.
So how did both of them end up in the news in the same week?
Well, this is the interesting thing, and there must be an element of coincidence, but there is the fact that it throws open a bigger question. And the big issue that broke the news first was the Bristol Bears, or Bristol Rugby Club as it was, and Steve Lansdowne's decided to call them Bristol Bears. It suddenly brought back memories of Boaty McBoatface for me. And talking to fellow Bristolians and keen sports enthusiasts, it was really interesting because the people of Bristol, or the sports fans who follow the rugby club, were of the view that, okay, on the one hand, as the person who's invested all this money, and for good purposes, he should have the right to decide what might be the name of the club. But then the other half of them are basically saying that, well, hang about, that's all very well, but we're the people who still pay to attend. We are the ones who support, and we're as an important part of the equation as the investor is, because without us, there's also no sports club. So should we not have at least been consulted about the name?
Am I not right in thinking that the football club already had a consultative committee of some sort of fans?
The football club does, yes, and that's the other part of this interesting equation, is that on the rugby club's case, that doesn't appear to be a structure. But in the case of Bristol City, which also made the news, Bristol City does have a long-standing fans consultative group that are liaised with on a regular basis about decisions that are being made. And one of the decisions was that in putting up prices, and let's understand that the rugby club and the football club play at a place called Ashton Gate, and the Lansdowne family have invested a lot of money in its redevelopment recently, and obviously have to recoup some of that cost. So in putting prices up, the consultative group were not listened to or engaged properly about prices for disabled fans.
Okay.
And there was a lot of there were items in the news about that as well. John Lansdowne, the son of Steve Lansdowne, who was an executive position in the football club, was in the news talking about that, and I think that there may be some reticence there, that they were not listened to or more fully consulted.
One of our members wrote to us and said, why is this an issue? Why is it consultation? And my answer to that is, if you live in a world where you're being consulted about everything, everything from where you put the park bench through to what we should do with A&E, consultations everywhere. And of course, not many of these affect you. But when you have something that really affects you, like your football club, because if you're a football supporter, it really means a lot to you, and you're not being consulted, then it kind of feels wrong. So there's an entitlement feeling, isn't there?
I think that, yes, I think we have developed a culture where we understand consultation is part of good decision making, and that's become part of the infrastructure of the UK. So, okay, if the Lansdownes were applying for a new site for the football club or a rugby club, they have to go through planning permission and all the processes, and there would be consultation taking place. The fans understand that there is a potential consultative process that should take place, but the public are also aware of the fact that they're consulted for a lot of things that are perhaps on a smaller scale as well. So expectation is there that you should be involved in some way, shape or form if you have an interest. And the nature of interest can be quite different from one thing to another. In the sports case, it's very much about the passion and the support.
Can we in the Institute do anything to help, do you think?
Well, I think that, if I was the person investing in a sports group or a club, I would think very carefully about whether or not I would want to utilise the fans' knowledge of the local environment, the local dynamic, the history, the potential for more fans to come and invest in the club, as part of my development for a strategy for the future of any particular club. And a part of that would probably be some form of consultation. But certainly I'd want some kind of deeper involvement, because in any place that you come into and you want to invest in it, you want a maximum return on your investment. Whether that be on the basis of you want to support the sports club because it's your passion, or whether it is because you want a return on your investment, it's logical to involve other people to pick up the knowledge that they have that you can't possibly have yourself.
Well, if anybody listening to this conversation feels they'd like to contact us with similar suggestions for maybe less than mainstream public consultation, other areas where the skills and knowledge that apply to public consultation can be applied in other environments, maybe we'd like to hear from you.